Hi, I'm Lori Olson, your local Los Angeles realtor. Today I'm going to explain the BRBC, Buyer Representation Broker Compensation Form. Let's get into it. On page 1, you'll see we start out with the disclosure regarding real estate agency relationship form. This form just really outlines the role of the seller's agent, the role of the buyer's agent, how an agent can represent both the seller and the buyer in certain instances, and the responsibilities of both of those sides of the transaction. And that goes on for page 1 and 2. Page 2 is a little bit of fine print that you'll be able to read once you see the form, which I'm happy to send you a sample copy of it so that you can look at it at your leisure. And then we jump right into the BRBC. BRBC is the short name for the form, Buyer Representation and Broker Compensation Agreement. This is basically going to outline all of the terms and conditions that you'll have in the relationship that you're going to be having with your realtor over the course of the next couple of months. And hopefully everything works out great and you end up finding your dream home. So first you're going to have the date that this form is prepared. You're going to have the right to represent is going to be where your name is going to go. If you are purchasing with somebody else, like a spouse, let's say, or a roommate, or a family member, or a friend, then you would put their name here as well. And the next line is going to be where the brokerage name goes, and that's whoever your realtor's working for. For me, I'm working for Circle Real Estate. Then it jumps right into the terms of representation. So first in A1, we have the representation period. Now, this cannot exceed 3 months. So most likely you're going to see that this agreement is going to be for 3 months because you really do need about 3 months to go through the whole process. If you already identified something or, it happens very quickly, it could definitely be wrapped up in, 1.5 to 2 months, but it's just good to have 3 there. Just to give you ample time to really get through the whole entire process of searching, putting offers in, and then completing escrow. So you'll put the beginning date and the end date here. Next would be type of representation. You'll see if you get one of these from me that I always select exclusive. And what that means is that I only work with people that have me as their only realtor. I prefer to work with people that are not working with multiple realtors at the same time because I think that gets a little bit sticky, and I'm really going to devote all of my time and energy into really helping you find your dream place. And I would hope that you would have the same kind of feeling about using me only as your realtor for at least the specific county or city that we're discussing. And that's something we'll talk about in a second. So we jump straight into B1, which is property type. The default is single family residential, which includes condominiums, also includes townhomes, even though it doesn't say it right here, and manufactured homes. If it was anything else like a multifamily or land or commercial, this would have to be checked here also. So that's basically what this is about. You could also do specific properties only, and then you could jump straight into location. So usually for me, because I'm in Los Angeles, I put for the county Los Angeles. That way if somebody potentially is looking, let's say, for something that could maybe be in Ventura County, they could use somebody there that specializes in that county on a regular basis. Next are the additional description, really no need for much there usually. C is additional buyer preferences and priorities. That's a completely separate form, and we don't often see that this is necessary, but sometimes when a buyer has specific needs and wants, that form will come into play. So properties excluded from representation in area D here. Now this would be if you worked with a realtor previously and canceled. And when you cancel, you'll often get a form that shows the addresses of properties that you both worked together on. Either that would be that you both saw together, that you made offers on, maybe you were already in escrow at one point on one of them. And if you have anything like that, you have to identify those here as well. And the reason why that is because your realtor will probably want compensation for that. So we would have to either exclude those from doing further showings or further offers on, and you would be bound to the other realtor for those specific properties. In E1, the amount of compensation area is written out. And for me, usually you'll see that I put 3 there. 3% compensation is what I put in case the sellers are offering 3%. If the sellers are offering 2.5%, I'll do a modification to this form for 2.5%. If the sellers are offering 2%, you and I would work together through that. How would the 0.5 be compensated? I usually don't go below 2.5%. But you'll see different things here depending on the realtor you're working with. And the goal for most realtors, I will speak for most realtors, is to get the seller to pay for your compensation. Now, that is what I'm continuing to see currently, even though we have a new form, which as you can see, this came out this year. And we also have a new law that states that the actual percentage of compensation the seller's offering to the buyer's agent is not able to be listed openly and freely on the MLS anymore. I still am seeing that sellers are paying for the broker's compensation. So, that's something that will come to light when your realtor speaks to the other realtor for the property you're wishing to see. It will also sometimes come to light when you make an offer and you include in your offer that you would like that to be paid for. And sometimes it will be openly listed on a separate website that the realtor has that is related to that listing. As long as it's not on the MLS, it's okay to identify that somewhere else. Now, in E2, we have payments received by broker from seller or others. This basically is stating exactly what we were just talking about, which is if the seller is paying for a certain amount of the compensation, you will not have to pay that. And so if the seller is paying a little bit more or a little bit less than the actual price that your realtor has stated that they would like, then that's a negotiation that happens afterwards for the remaining piece, how that gets paid. So that's basically what E2 is about. And then E3 is continued right to payment for broker involved properties. So that's if we canceled this form and I submitted a bunch of addresses to you that we had worked on together, I would receive payment for anything that happened after you and I stopped working together. Anything that happened after that closed out, I would receive compensation for that within a specific amount of time that would be mentioned here. Cancellation rights for exclusive, it can only be 30 days after receipt. Of course, other realtors might, hold you to that. Personally, for me, I would never hold somebody kind of hostage like that. We would have the cancellation form immediately and you would be able to go about your business with somebody else. So G1 is time to deliver buyer personal and financial information. The default is 5 days. Sometimes I will extend that if I know that you need a little bit more time. But basically what it is proof of funds. So proof of funds not only for a broker / buyer's agent fee, but also proof of funds for a down payment, proof of funds for let's say the earnest money deposit that you will put down when you make offers. And that is something that is necessary for the realtor to see so that they know exactly what your financial situation looks like so that they can really, really find the perfect property for you. If you do not have funds to pay the broker the buyer's compensation fee at all, this can be checked here. Like I said, you can still proceed to put in offers and ask for that to be covered by the seller, and you can only see properties that specifically openly state that they will be paid a buyer's agent fee by the seller. Other terms, if you have them, can go into each. The rest of this specific part of the form, going to page 5, is going to be all of the explanations above. You will be required on page 5 of this to Just verify that you understand that this is an exclusive representation, so you'll have to initial that, and you'll also have to sign the bottom of this, and it will again state the compensation. So it's just a checks and balances, so that you really understand what you're signing. The entity buyers area is if you are, let's say, an LLC or something like that. But basically, you'll sign this, and then you'll move on to the next part of the form. Next up is the Buyer's Investigation Advisory. This form is just to let you know about the importance of you as the buyer really doing your due diligence for things such as square footage, the age of the home, doing inspections to check for termites, reading through the environmental hazard reports that come in, usually through a place like My NHD, to figure out your insurance, rental property restrictions if there's an HOA, et cetera, et cetera. It's just to make sure that you understand that you are responsible for that. Your realtor, the brokerage that your realtor works with, and the seller are not responsible for actually guiding you through all of this and doing investigations. The seller is responsible for disclosing what they do know on a form known as the seller disclosures, but it's really up to you to do your due diligence so that you're well informed with what's going on. That's a 2-page form that's attached. Then you come to the broker compensation advisory. This again goes over exactly how the broker will be compensated. The broker and your realtor are included in that. So this talks about how the listing agreement compensation is fully negotiable. That's the agreement that the person who's selling the home has with their client. There is information here about how the brokerage and the realtor at that brokerage that you're working with can possibly be representing both the buyer and the seller. That's here. And then it goes a little bit further into how the seller pays compensation. Either the buyer negotiates for the seller to compensate, or the buyer's agent negotiates an agreement directly with the seller. And you can read all about that on those 2 pages, and then move right along to possible representation of more than one buyer or seller disclosure and consent. This is just so that you can state that you do understand that I, as the realtor or whatever realtor you're working with, does represent multiple buyers and sellers at the same time. After that comes the California Consumer Privacy Act Advisory Disclosure and Notice, CCPA, and this is just a form that comes in the package, and basically this is just granting California residents certain rights in their private personal information that's collected by companies with whom you do business. So you could read through that, and that's where this ends. This used to be a lot longer, but now they've shortened this little package. And if you have any other questions, feel free to reach out. Also, check out my other video that is related to the PSRA form, which is a version of this that's shorter that you could use with realtors to view 1, 2, or 3 properties. And that's a good first step if you're not sure if you're going to get along with somebody. Well, that's all for now. I just wanted to leave you with my information here. If you're looking to buy or sell a property in the Los Angeles area, I would love to help you, and feel free to reach out.